All right, Shalom Aleichem. Welcome to our Wednesday class on Yalkut Yosef. We are up to the topic of Netilat Yadayim, Berachot, Berkat Hamazon, and we're going to continue from there. We are also going to dedicate a little bit of time to Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai that tomorrow night over here, maybe close to 1 million people have bought tickets to go to his Levaya, probably the greatest Levaya, Askara, annual memorial ceremony. Probably the greatest one in the world. Every year, maybe 1 million people go. It's unbelievable. So we'll talk about that. But first, let's begin with halakha. So regarding the Netilat Yadayim, last thing we spoke about was what do you do if you are in the ocean? And I'll tell you what happened when at the end of the class, Johnny said, Ziva, some things are not so clear to me, and he contacted me and I explained it better. So bottom line over there was that we said that whenever the water is still attached to its source, for example, if you dip your hands in the ocean, the water is attached to its source, the ocean, then that would be sufficient to do bracha al netilat yadayim. But you are not allowed to take water out of the ocean and wash your hands and do netilah with that, because that water would be problematic. All right? Oh, Yona is joining us as well, and Simon, Beruchim Abayim. We were just recapping last week, and we'll continue now from where we are. All right, so next halakha says, Yalkut Yosef, if there is a room that has a toilet in it, you cannot do the netilah for the seudah in that room. A lot of people don't know that. They go to the bathroom, they do over there the netilah. I'm going to come out, I'll say the bracha outside. But the fact of the matter is that according to the Yalkut Yosef, and this was what Rabbi Vadi used to do, if he walks into a bathroom, when I say a bathroom, I don't mean a room that has a sink and has another door and behind it a toilet. Because if there's a door with a toilet behind it, that's a separate room. So you're not in a bathroom right now, right? Says Yalkut Yosef, even if there's a urinal in the room, it's not considered a bathroom. Only if there's a toilet seat that is open to you, that doesn't have a door that's closing it, then you're considered in a bathroom. And in a place like that, you cannot do the netilat yadayim. But if it's just a urinal, you do the netilah. What about a shower? Says there, who joined us now as well? Johnny, Giacomo, Baruch Hashem, Bruchim Abayim. What about a shower? Says there, Yalkut Yosef, if there's a shower but not a toilet over there, you are allowed to do the netilah over there. Just don't say the bracha where the shower is. Step out of the room, say the bracha outside. But a shower is not considered a makom tum'ah, makom zo'amah, that you can't say a bracha. Of course, he does mention here what we learned and we were already tested on, that if a person is in a plane or in a place where he has no choice and he wants to do netilah, then you can rely on the opinion of Chacham ben Zion Abba Shaul, which was the Chatzitziah of our beloved Rabbi Ben Chaim. In his book, he brings down that it would be okay to do netilah in place of a toilet because today it's clean. It's not like it used to be. So it's a machloket between Rabbi Vadia and Chacham ben Zion. La'alacha, we follow Rabbi Vadia, but in Shat Adchak, when we have no choice, we rely on that opinion. All right, now what happens if you are in a place where you do not have water, but you do have other drinks? What drinks are okay, if at all, to do netilah? Or maybe what drinks are not okay to do netilah? Anybody have a clue? There's one drink, I'll tell you. There's only one drink that says, Yalkut Yosef, that you cannot do Netilat Yadayim with. It's not Coke. Who wants to guess what it is?
Wine?
Very good. Chazaku Baruch. Which is interesting. He says you're not allowed to do with wine. Obviously, it's not the honor to the wine. When I listened to this halakha, it a little bit bothered me on first point because we know that back in the day, they used wine to wash clothing. It was some sort of material that would clean the clothing. The ladies would use it, pour it on the stains, and it would wash. So if you're saying that it's disrespect for the wine in Netilat Yadayim, then why is it not disrespect for the wine when you pour it on the clothing? What I think the answer must be is that the purpose of the wine is specific for the clothing. It's there to clean the clothing, and therefore you're not disrespecting it. You're using it. But when you're doing netilah, it doesn't have to be wine. It could be orange juice. It could be apple juice. It could be something else. So why are you wasting or putting the wine in a place that's shameful for it? And therefore, that is the only liquid that you cannot use for netilat yadayim. Any other liquid would be fine.
Wait, sorry. I'm confused. You can use any drink, any soda you need to wash your hands?
Coffee, tea, juice, just not wine.
Wow.
He says, don't say a bracha on this netilah. All right? It won't be sufficient for a bracha, but it would do the job of what's happening here. We are doing an action to remind the Kohanim. I'm telling you that when the Beit HaMikdash will be built, when they're about to eat something holy, they have to wash their hands. The purpose has been achieved. The hands have been washed. But don't say a bracha on that because you're not doing it in a proper way.
But Ziv, technically, you really are not washing your hands if you're using a juice or
Yeah, it's actually getting
dirty.
more dirty. You're right. It gets more dirty.
No. Okay. So you're relying on the opinion that the purpose of washing is to make your hands clean. If that would only be the case, then I agree with you. But as we learned, that's a very secondary excuse to wash your hands. It's not just about cleanliness. There are two reasons, but the main reason is because we want to remind the Kohanim that when the Beit HaMikdash gets rebuilt, they have to wash their hands. So we're not trying to clean our hands. We're doing an action of a reminder. That's what's really happening here, which is strange. It's something that you do every day with a bracha. The only reason you're doing it is to remind the Kohanim that when the Beit HaMikdash will be built and they'll receive terumah, before they eat the terumah, the donation of the bread that they get, they'll have to wash their hands and eat impurity. So when I wash my hands, even if it's with coffee or tea, I'm still doing that action of remembering and reminding the Kohanim. So that's the halakha. Like it or not, only one would be a problem. The rest is okay. Next topic that we're going to touch is very relevant. Chatzitza. Chatzitza means a barrier. If someone was about to wash his hands, but he has things on his hand, we're going to talk about a band-aid or a cast or a ring. Is that a problem? What does he do? What's the solution? Happens to me a lot. If I have a band-aid, a cut on the hand, and I want to do Netilat, am I allowed to? Am I not? What's the right way to go? So let's take it step by step. First of all, if someone just put cream on his hand or oil on his hands because they were dry and his hands are fully oily, and he's concerned that by doing the Netilat right now, the water is not really going to reach his palm. It's protected by the oil and it's not making contact. He says it doesn't matter. That's not considered a barrier or a separation. It's a full legit Netilat, and you could do Netilat Yadayim when your hands are creamy or oily. What about dirt under the nails? If a person works with his hands physically and he has a lot of dirt under his nails, would that be a problem? So halakha is yes, that would be a problem because people are makpid. People don't like that their hands look in that matter. When it doesn't look good and it bothers you, then it would be a problem. It's considered a chatzitza and you'll have to clean your nails. Right? What about a ring? Can I have a ring on while I'm doing Netilat Yadayim? So the answer is like this. It depends if you are a handyman. For example, a handyman that works with a driller and digs and whatnot, he usually does not wear rings while he's working because it bothers him, right? But if he's a jeweler, his hands never get deep into mud and stuff like that, and therefore he never removes his wedding ring or whatever ring it may be. It's always on him. He never takes it off. If he never takes it off, then it's not considered a chatzitza. It's not considered a barrier. Even if it's very tight and the water is not going under and the water never made contact with this area, doesn't matter. If he always keeps it on him, it's as if it's part of him, and that will not be a chatzitza. Same thing with a woman that bakes. When a woman is kneading the dough, if she usually removes her rings while kneading the dough, then she shows that the ring is not part of her, because whenever she gets dirty, she removes it. That woman cannot do Netilat Yadayim with the ring on. But if she leaves the rings on while working with the dough, then she could also do Netilat Yadayim with the ring. Right, so the concept is understood. It's about how you perceive the rings on you. Are they part of you, or they're there as a decoration and they come off and on? If they come off and on, then you can't do Netilat Yadayim with them. Right. What about Be'ezat Hashem, many semachot? Someone had a china, and now he has henna on his palm, right? And it's a big brown stain, and he wants to do Netilat Yadayim. What is he going to do? Is it a chatzitza? Is it not a chatzitza? So I'm assuming your gut is telling you it's not a chatzitza because sometimes you stay with china on your hand for 3-4 days. It doesn't go away. So you're not going to eat bread. You're not going to do Netilat in the morning. So that's the truth. It's not a chatzitza. Why? Because you're not makpid. You don't look at the china and say, oh my God, I'm so embarrassed. No, you're proud of it. I was at a henna party. I had fun. It's not an item of dirt to you. It's a decoration. It's part of, just like we said before, when someone puts oil on his hand or cream, he's not embarrassed of it. He's not makpid on it. He wants it there. The china was there because you put it there. You have no problem with it. And then it's not considered a barrier. You could do Netilat Yadayim after a henna party, no problem. What about, very relevant, band-aid, plaster, we call it in Hebrew. So just for the dry halakha, if let's say somebody has a cut on his palm, the area that has the cut is exempt from Netilah. He doesn't even have to wash it. It's exempt. The Torah is merciful. It doesn't want anybody to suffer. So if you put the Band-Aid on just on the place that you're hurt, then it's not a problem, because what's the concern? The concern is that you will remove the Band-Aid during the meal, okay? And if you remove it during the meal and then bread touches the area that was not washed, then the bread made contact with a non-pure area, and it's a problem. Remember, the Kohanim have to eat the bread pure with hands that are washed. But if you have a cut over there or whatever it is, and the Band-Aid is on top of it, then there's no fear that you're going to take it out during the meal because you want it there. It's protecting you. But he differentiates. He says, but if you're wearing one of those big roll-up Band-Aids or something like that, that really there's just one spot that has the cut, but the rest is just there for comfort or whatever it is. In that case, it's a problem, because there is a chance that you will open up that thing and move it around and then touch the bread or something like that, right? So that's his differentiation. So you would still do the netilah, but just don't say a beracha, meaning wash, let's say it's down here, wash whatever you can, but don't say a beracha when you have that big one. But if it's just a small Band-Aid and it's on the area of where you actually have a problem and there's no fear of you removing it, you could do netilah with a beracha while the Band-Aid is still on.
Ziv, what about a cast?
That's the next topic.
Oh.
Next topic, someone that has completely bruised all over, has a cast. What do we do with him? Says that hand is exempt. He should wash only the other hand. He doesn't have to wash the first hand. And he would say a beracha even though he's washing just one hand. Same thing with cast or with a hand that is fully, someone got some terrible thing with his hand and it's fully covered. He just washes the other hand and he says a beracha al Netilat Yadayim, not al Netilat Yad. The bracha is as it is, we don't change it. Anybody remember another example where we don't do a regular Netilat Yadayim, but we still say al Netilat Yadayim? Last week we spoke about this. When you what? When you dip your hands in the ocean. Remember we said that? Some said you should say al Tevilat Yadayim, on dipping my hands in water. Halacha le'maaseh, we said no. Even when you dip your hands and it's an action of dipping, the bracha stays the same. Al Netilat Yadayim for dipping, al Netilat Yadayim for washing only one hand as well. Simon, I haven't given you a job in a long time. But when we opened the class, I said, please let's dedicate a few minutes at the end for Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Tomorrow is Lag BaOmer, tomorrow night. So please remind us a few minutes to the end if it's not too much trouble, to give the proper honor to Rabbi Shimon.
So, Ziv, I'm guessing if both hands have a cast, you don't say, you don't do anything.
That's what you're going to do. You're exempt.
Yeah. Okay.
Hopefully that should never happen. Okay. Band-Aid we said, cast we said. Now, chas v'chalila, someone is in Yom Kippur. Yom Kippurim, a person, lo alenu, is sick, and the doctor tells him that he has to eat. So when he eats bread, does he do Netilat Yadayim? Because we're not supposed to touch water on Yom Kippur. Unless we go to the bathroom. Oh, Andy, Baruch haba, welcome back. So back to hello. Back to our Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur halacha is that a person does not wash his hands all the way, except for Kohanim. Kohanim that have Kohanim, Uncle Mikey will tell you that he has the pleasure of washing his hands entirely. Same with Tisha B'Av. But regarding going to the restroom or waking up in the morning, the washing will only be until Tishrei Etzbot, until the knuckles. Now a person is eating bread because he is sick, and the doctor told him that he has to eat bread on Yom Kippur. Does he do a Netilat Yadayim, or does he prevent himself from washing? Because why wash your hands if you don't have to? You have to eat the bread. Halacha le'maaseh, he does the same thing that we do after the bathroom. He only washes up to here. He doesn't wash his full hand. And regarding the bracha, this is halacha that has to do with brachot of Netilat Yadayim. If someone is eating a big amount of bread, more than 56 grams, more than 2 ounces, then he washes and he says al Netilat Yadayim, and then eats the bread. If someone is eating only 1 ounce or somewhere between 1 ounce and 2 ounces, in that case, he washes his hands, but he does not say al Netilat Yadayim. The only time you say al Netilat Yadayim is when you eat 2 ounces or more. So if you're eating a little bit, either you wash without a bracha, like I just said, and if you're eating less than an ounce, I don't know if you knew this, a woman baked, she has a little piece of bread that she wants to taste to make sure it tastes yummy. She made herself a mini bun like that, smaller than an ounce. She is exempt from Netilat Yadayim. If you eat a piece that is smaller than a kazait, obviously if you could do it, good, but you're exempt. The halakha does not require you to wash your hands for something less than a kazait, which is an ounce, so you will not have to do Netilat Yadayim at all. But in our case, on Yom Kippurim, he is eating in shiurim. What is shiurim? Hopefully none of us should know this, but if someone is sick in Yom Kippur and the doctor tells him that he has to eat, the way of eating is by giving him small amounts, like 10 grams at a time, 10 grams at a time with breaks in between. Why? So that it's not considered a meal and it's broken, it's just for the illness. So because he is not eating a sufficient amount, as we said, 2 kazaits, 2 ounces in a short period of time, just around 7.5 minutes or so, then he as well will be exempt from saying al netilat yadayim. He will not say the beracha, but he would still wash his hands because at the end of the day he's eating more than a kazait, but he will not say the beracha. All right. Another thing that is important when we do a bracha of al netilat yadayim, maybe some of you do this, maybe if not, some of you have seen rabbis or whoever it is doing this. When they wash their hands, they lift their hands up and say, Baruch atah asher kiddushanu v'mitzvotav al netilat yadayim. What is the reason? Why are we lifting our hands up? So there's a reason according to the Peshat, and there's a reason according to the Kabbalah. The Peshat reason is that if you're going to have your hands facing down, then when you washed your hands, a few drops also reach this area. This area now has water in it that's not pure. There wasn't a sufficient amount that touched here. So this area is not pure. Now water touched it. If you hold it down, the water may drip back and make the hand impure again. Because in order to purify something, it has to have a revi'it, which is about 3 ounces of water. This area, not 3 ounces didn't reach it. So when a drop falls down from here to here, then you may make the hand impure. So when you hold your hands up, the hands that are required to be pure, only this part, nothing is falling down on them for sure. So you say the beracha like that, then you wipe your hands quickly and your hands stay pure. According to the Kabbalah, something much deeper is happening in the moment that you lift your hands. Without getting into too much, but there's a book called Otzrot Chaim by Rav Chaim Vital, the student of the famous Ha'ari HaKadosh, and over there he gives a very deep reason. He says this is the same reason why the Kohanim lift their hands when they do Birkat Kohanim, and this is the same reason why when Am Yisrael was fighting Amalek, sometimes Moshe Rabbeinu lifted his hand, if you remember the story in the Torah. What's happening behind the scenes over there? Without getting into depth, because this has to do with Kabbalah, but the explanation is that our body is divided into 3 parts: the head, the upper body, and the lower body. And each one, there's something called sefirot. Sefirot are some sort of Kabbalistic terms that divide the body, not just our physical body, but the spiritual understanding of how a person spiritually is created. And the area that is by the head, it has the chokhmah, bina, vadat, these 3 sefirot, these 3 highest areas of the body. They are very, very powerful spiritually, and they protect. What do you need protection from? The areas of the male are considered areas where, according to the Kabbalah, the chitzunim, the negative powers, the negative forces of the world, they attach themselves to openings. Since a nail is an opening of the body, they are able to come hurt, chas v'chalila, through there. So what's the protection? Is that when you use the hands to say the beracha, bring your hands to an area that has protection. The height of the head has a spiritual protection. So by bringing your nails up to this area, there's a protection on the hands, and therefore we say the beracha while the nails and hands are protected over here. The Malchut, the student of Ari Kadosh, says the same thing with Birkat Kohanim. They bring the hands up here because when they're blessing and there's potential of maybe these forces to try and nibble onto the areas that have potential of nibbling onto, they're protected. It's by the height of the head. And same thing when Am Yisrael was fighting Amalek, Kasher Herim Yado, Moshe Ketan, raising his hands. These are deep reasons. So simple reason, as we said, water shouldn't drip. Higher reason is because of the Kabbalah, because this is the area that is spiritually protected. Either way, definitely recommended to do. Lift your hands up while you're saying the beracha, and after we say the beracha, we dry our hands. See where we're holding. All right. Now, I did Netilat Yadayim like this. I filled up the natlan. I passed it to my left hand and I did 1, 2, 3. So now this hand is clean, right? Brings the Yalkut Yosef the next case. He says, now, as this hand is about to get the other natlan to wash this hand, the hand that is already pure, your friend passed by, gave you a high five, touched you, or another guy was doing Netilah, and you touched his hand that was impure. So your hand that was pure now touched something that doesn't have the tahara. What do you do at that moment? Says that Yalkut Yosef, wipe that hand. If it made contact with another hand that's not pure, you have to wipe it until it's dry. And once it's dry, then wash it again. However, you didn't say a beracha yet, so you're fine. You could still say the beracha at the end, as opposed to if you washed both hands and before you said and after you said the beracha, before you wiped your hands, you touched somebody's hand. Now you need to wash your hands again because, again, they're not pure for the meal. However, since you already said a beracha, in that case, you wouldn't repeat the beracha. Right? So there are two steps. Either you touched before the beracha or after the beracha. And a good solution to avoid all this conflict of having to become pure or impure is if you pour a full revi'it. A revi'it is 3 ounces at once. That action, with 3 ounces at once on one hand, and hopefully we should probably always do that. The first netilah is a big amount. You have small amounts different, but if it's a big amount, then it's already like tum'ah proof. Nothing can make it impure because it got 3 ounces at once. When you do the drip and drip and drippity drop, it still has the potential of becoming impure if it touches something, right? But that's why he recommends that if you do for the first time 3 ounces, then you leave a lot of sfekot, a lot of doubts whether your hand is considered impure. So the recommendation would be to do that. The first wash out of the 3, a large amount, the rest already won't matter, and the second with the same hand. What happens if we are hosting people, Pesach, whatever it is, and sadly, they're far from Torah mitzvot. They don't do Netilat Yadayim. They don't even know what it is. Am I allowed to bring him bread? Am I allowed to feed him knowing that he's not going to do Netilat Yadayim? What do you say? So, I'm going to tell you what he says.
I guess it's yes.
Your guess is yes. Very good guess. Again, the idea is that our Torah is merciful. You're not going to do stuff that are going to look bad in front of people and make them get turned off from our religion, right? So he says, Mishum darkei shalom, because of peace, you're allowed to feed the person, bring him the bread. Don't put the bread in his hand. Put it before him and he will take. And hopefully, but he says, but try b'darkei noam. Try in soft ways to convince him to do it as well. And if he doesn't agree, at least when you're doing the hamotzi, say it out loud and say, hey, listen to me, have kavanah. He's going to have kavanah, not going to have kavanah. I don't know. You did your part. Say hamotzi and eat it. You did your part. You have to try and do your part. The rest already, will help.
Diva, 5-minute warning.
Yeah, all right. It was perfect time. So, Abotai, tomorrow night, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai has a Hilula. Hilula is an event. Some say it's the day that he passed away. Either way, everybody agrees that this is a very special day spiritually because the secrets of Kabbalah were allowed to be revealed to the world. A lot of people changed the world, but I don't know how many days you could say changed the world. And the day of Lag BaOmer is the day that changed the world, where the secrets, the holiest secrets of the heavens were revealed through Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai to his students and have passed down from generation to generation to the giants of the generation. And therefore, this day is considered a very holy day. It's so holy that while we are in the time of mourning the death of the students of Rabbi Akiva and we're all growing beards and not listening to music and not getting married, the power of Rabbi Shimon breaks all of that. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai says, on my day, there's no sadness, there's no mourning, it's a Hilulah. And as I said in the beginning, I think about 1 million people every year go to his kever on this day, dancing, singing, achnasat orchim, free food for everybody. It's just a beautiful scene. If you have never been there, one time it's recommended to do. Of course, you have to take the careful measurements as to what happened a few years ago. But now the government got involved, and it's hopefully a lot more secure to go through the normal path. You have to buy a ticket from up front, or else you can't go in. It's the whole thing. But bottom line, powerful day. So who was Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai? A few years ago, we actually gave the Gemara that talks about Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai and what he did. If you look up at the YouTube channel that we have, our class took a class on Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, so it's all about him. But in a nutshell, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai is considered he who wrote the book Zohar HaKadosh. Zohar is the hidden lights of the Torah, everything, the behind the scenes of the Torah. And what gave him the power to write that special book and to review it? The story goes is that the government was running after him, and therefore he had to hide. And he didn't even tell his wife where he's going so that they don't torture her and she says where he is. And he ran with his son and he hid in a cave. And he hid in the cave for 12 years until someone came and said, oh, it's time to come out. But when they came out, they were in such a different place because for 12 years, they were just learning Torah alone. And they were so disconnected from the world that when they came out of the cave, they kept on burning everything they see with their eyes. How could it be that people are working in the taking wheat out of the ground, taking fruits from the tree? What are you doing? How are you not learning Torah? They were so in the Torah zone for 12 years straight that they couldn't be in the world. And so a bat kol came out of the heavens and said, why did you come out of the cave? To destroy my world? And they understood that they're not ready to come out of the cave. So they went back into the cave for another year. And after a year, now they finally came out. The son of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, still everything that he looked at, caught fire. But Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai would look at it again and would turn off the fire. And they understood that there's a world that needs to be run. But what's the message behind this? The depths of Torah that they reached were something else, something that Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai only had. So even though we had a lot of great rabbis in history and we're not ranking, but Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai is the only one that we have such a hilulah, that's a happy day, that in fact it says that one of the people a few hundred years ago that lived in the time of the Aliyah Kadosh that we were talking about, the great Kabbalist, his name was Rabbi Avraham Levi Beruchim. And Rabbi Avraham Levi was always mourning. He was mourning about the Beit HaMikdash. Like there's a rabbi, Rav Adis, if you know him in Yerushalayim, redhead, gingy rabbi, always mourning, always with torn clothing, always crying in the kotel about the Beit HaMikdash, never let go of it. That was Rabbi Avraham Beruchim. He was always mourning. And one time he was seen that in the day of the Hilulah of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai Lag BaOmer, he was mourning as well. And so from the heavens they revealed, I think it was through Aliyah Kadosh, go tell him why is he mourning on the day of my celebration. Tell him, lo alenu, that soon he will have a reason to be mourning. And a little bit after that, there was a terrible death. Not to put anyone in the but the idea was that on this day there's no sadness. So what's the requirement from us on this day? Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, he who the Gemara says that he said, I'm able to, me and my son are able to exempt the whole generation from the beginning of the world until the end of judgment. There'll be no judgment if we're there. Who can say such a statement like that? So this character, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, tomorrow is not tomorrow night. When it's a big day, people are going to do medurot instead of lighting a candle like we do for tzaddikim. For him, it's a medurah. It's a huge fire. The basic requirement from us would be, and this I think everybody would like, it says, eat, drink, and be happy. First of all, on Lag BaOmer, not a day for arguments, not a day for crazy diets. Enjoy yourself. Eat, drink, be happy. But more importantly, tremendous potential for tefillah. Don't let this day go by without taking advantage of the power of the tefillah. Ask Hashem and the zichut of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, for children, for the chatufim, for whatever you have in mind to ask, this has potential. Hopefully Hashem should answer our prayers and we will hear only the soul to this. All right, gentlemen.
Thank you, Ziv.
Thank you. Baruch.